So behind me, I have a BMW X7, one of the 3-rows SUVs out there. Well, I'm not going to talk about its quirks and features or whether it has launch controls or how fast it goes at 0 to 60. But I'm going to talk about car seats today. So before we talk about sitting, I wanted to kind of mention something that I found super interesting as far as what's happening in the car industry. Let's take this BMW for example. So you can see the middle row seat right now is configured as a bench seat. You have an option of whether getting bench seats or captain's chair in the middle. So all in all, you get a choice of either as a 7-seater configuration, which is 5 plus 2 in the back, or you get a 6-seater configuration, which is with the captain chair, so you get 4 in the front and 2 in the back. The reason why I found this very interesting, and as far as why I wanted to get an SUV in the first place, is I want to feed a lot of people and our stuff in the vehicle, right? But it seems like recently what the industry is doing is the higher of a trim that you go, that means you pay more money, you actually get less seats. Taking into consideration, let's say, you get a minivan. I'm not going to name any particular brand, but you have to pay. You actually only able to get the captain's chair if you aim for the higher trim, which kind of defeat the practicality of getting a larger vehicle or 3-row vehicles to begin with. So for my use, I specifically look for these configurations, and believe it or not, this is actually harder to find than the ones with captain chairs that you actually need to pay more for with less seats. So with that said, tell me what you think in the comments below. And another thing about captain's chair which I found especially not practical, especially for people who have little kids and need to have a child seat, I mean those big child seats versus those little boosters, is getting in and out of the vehicle. Let's say this for example, if you would have 2 child seats on each side of the vehicle, and they are not the booster seats and they're like the other, this Clark over here on the other side, it will be so hard to move the seat up while having the child seat mounted on the captain's chair. I mean, it will be close to impossible to flip up the seats to get in and out. Not to mention if you have a reverse facing child seat, I mean, there's no way that you can climb over the child seat in order to get in the car. So that's why the reason I think having a middle bench seat is much more practical if you are aiming for a 3-rows configuration. So let's go through some scenarios here. Let's say you have your first child. He or she is in an infant's crib. My feeling about the safest and probably the most efficient space to mount the child seat would be behind the driver. The reason being, first of all, you will still have the access for your other passengers on the sidewalk, right? So that makes them easy to get in and out. And the other thing is, it's much easier, especially for mom, to carry the child carrier in and out of the car if it is right behind her. Because some people like to mount it in the middle seats and some like to mount it on the passenger side, especially on the middle seat. I mean, your back will be so sore, I can guarantee you, maybe even after like a few days of taking this car seat in and out. So having that behind the driver, I feel like it's easier to install and take out once you get to your destination, because once you get there, you basically just need to roll your stroller next to the seat and just mount it, transfer it onto the stroller. Okay, so what about a little baby sister or brother and an older brother or sister? So in that case, I would just add the rear-facing child seat in the middle seat. The reason, of course, being you still have access for the passenger, if you're going to carry another adult, and also, you'll be able to access the rear seat even with the middle seat mounted. So it doesn't disturb the ingress and egress of the car of the third row passenger if your car has one. So once they are both enough for forward facing, I would still keep them closer behind the driver's seats. The reason is pretty much the same, to allow the ingress and egress for the third row seats, and also to be able to sit another passenger in the next to the child seats if you needed to. Of course, it goes the same way if the kids are still not old enough for forward facing. You just basically flip the seats around, and the setup would pretty much be the same. So once one of the siblings grow older, maybe like their first or second grade, after they have outgrown their full-size child seat, I would still leave their little brother or sister behind the passenger for safety and easier getting inside and out. And but what I would do is I'll put the older kid in the third row if you have the third row seats. The reason being, by the time that they are old enough, they can pretty much get in and out on their own. And most of all, I feel like they have a better time, sitting in a row of their own, because they won't bump into each other, or you will also leave the other two seats in the middle row for other adults. So which is what I find the most easiest to accommodate two kids. So let's say if you have three kids, right? Then what I would do is I'll repeat the process of adding another appropriate child seat in the middle second row until they outgrow it, and then maybe you can put another booster seat in the back, and so on and so forth. So what I have in the third row, at least there's some of the time when I need to carry more passengers, which I will use as all the seats in the vehicle, is I usually use a Graco 3-in-1 harness booster. Why I like it so much is because first of all, it's very light and very small, and usually fits very well in the third row seats. And another reason is that the lower and upper limit of the child seat, the range is really wide, so that I can probably use it until the kids grow into maybe like 6th and 7th grade, by just removing the seat back. And also being a convertible seat, I can take that go flying in airplanes. I can take it onto train ride. There's so many other use for it, so I usually just keep it around the house if I needed to, or travel into the grandparents' vehicle. So it's super versatile. So I hope you find this video useful. Let me know what you think, and please like and subscribe. We'll see you soon. Thank you.